All right, bam, pop it. All right, fellas. How's everyone's week?
You don't want to know.
Am I now? All right. Black Zeus Smith, how's your week?
Oh, my week was pretty good, man. I'm still here. Had a great week.
That's what's up. And we don't care about Henry's.
It's all good.
Nah, say nah. How was your week, Henry?
It was fantastic, fellas.
Fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
All right, that's what's up. So in small IBBC news this week, I pointed out a couple of things that were interesting. First thing I saw that was a big headline when watching CNBC, I believe Tuesday or Wednesday. 52 black ex-franchisees of McDonald's is filing a $1 billion racial discrimination lawsuit against McDonald's. Basically saying that they were placed in undesirable locations and non-profitable revenue streams to that extent.
That's like the ghetto?
Yeah, pretty much the ghetto.
Yeah.
When has a McDonald's ever failed in the ghetto?
Have you ever been to a McDonald's in the ghetto?
Yeah.
They're usually short on fries. They're short on a burger. Yeah, there's been times where I've been to McDonald's in the ghetto, man. They've been short on stuff.
I mean, I'm used to them telling you go in the drive-through and they tell you, yeah, pull over there. We'll bring food out to you or something, you know?
Yeah.
Dang, well. I mean, that ain't nothing new.
As
far as being
that's about it. That's the only issue I've ever had.
Yeah.
They put them in those areas, but at the same time, doesn't the I know like Miss Boss Lady that owns the McDonald's in Irvington, across from Popeyes, if you all are familiar.
Yeah.
He also owns another McDonald's. I forget where it is. So she has more than one McDonald's, and her McDonald's are pretty successful. I think that part of it might be the business model that the individual might be using as opposed to their location.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if locale is actually it because like Schubert said, the McDonald's in the neighborhoods pretty much do good because unfortunately that's what our
people eat.
Adults, that's not what kids eat. That's what our adults feed our children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if McDonald's is never introduced into the food cycle or the life cycle of the child, then the child never knows McDonald's. My daughter doesn't eat McDonald's because she was never introduced to it. But my son does because, when I went through my divorce, he was actually introduced to it through his mama. So it just depends on what their introduction is. But as far as the franchise, I've been there. They've been short on napkins and ketchup and things like that. When I did eat McDonald's myself, this is more than 20 years ago. Jeez Louise. And I still remember them always being short. You having to pull over to wait for your order, just because they want to keep the timestamp on the ordering service fast. So it looks it looks like they're doing fast business. It's a corporate plot. Pull over, so it looks like we're getting orders out within 2 minutes. You know what I mean? But it's really taking us 22 minutes. But overall, I don't know. I don't know if I agree or disagree. I think it might be a business model. I have to look a little more into that.
Yeah, man. So it's going to be a $1 billion lawsuit. So we'll see how far that goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know McDonald's, a corporation as big as it is, and that specifically serves a certain type of community. And by a certain type of community, I don't mean a racial profile, but more of a economic profile. To ever, that doesn't make sense to me only because of the fact of like their whole entire model is to be placed in just the right location where the economic status there is going to suit their business.
I get it. It might make some sense, but I still got to do a little more digging. So dig this, right? In an urban community, similar to a liquor store, you might find a McDonald's. So if you got 12 McDonald's within a two-mile radius, then they might not be doing that well.
Yeah.
If you put that many McDonald's within a 2-mile radius, and I'm just thinking about where I live at right now, and I know I have a McDonald's here, and I have about 3 McDonald's within probably 2 miles of myself, my own location. So that might be the problem. They, oversaturating the hood.
The McDonald's they're individually owned, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
But
So,
they have
to your point, Smith,
stipulations.
you're right. It could still be a business model problem versus to a
Yeah.
racial discrimination problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
We'll
the whole thing is there is a stipulation of like with any business, or not any business, but most businesses have what's called a non-competition clause, where you cannot be within a certain mileage of that business to do.
This is
so you're
true.
not doing competition with it.
This is
So,
true.
as a trainer, many times when you sign, work for a gym, they have that built into your contract as a trainer for that gym. That, if you do leave that gym, you cannot work within 10 to 15 miles of that gym. So that way, clients are not going to follow you to where you are, it's too convenient.
Yeah. We'll see, though. You will definitely see. In market economy news, the Dow, S&P, and the NASDAQ ended the month in record highs. Best performances in the past 36 years. So if you were someone who wasn't fearful back in March when you saw record lows for the year, if you hung in tough, you definitely saw record highs ending the month of March, ending the month of August. That is.
Don't the record highs just bring us back to where we were? So now we're even.
Well, it depends on your investment start point. If you were someone who saw the March lows being a point to just go all in, you saw 50% gains.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're someone who just got in, because I know I got a number of shares in the past couple of months. I've probably picked up another $2,000 worth of shares, and I've seen an increase of roughly $400 or something like that, in the past few months. So it all depends on where you're at with it, whether it's the shares you already had or the shares that you're currently purchasing.
Yeah.
Round this up, New Jersey reopened gyms this past Monday. So Schubert got competition out there. Oh, Black Zeus got competition out there now.
Zeus got that comp.
He got that comp now.
I don't know if it's really competition, dude. I don't know if it's really competition.
Schubert been open illegally for like the last 3 months.
No, I've been completely legal. No, the whole the gyms being closed in the States has only applied to large, big, box gyms such as New York Sports Club, Planet Fitness.
What's the stipulations though that they open them with?
Well, the stipulations that they only open up with a max percentage of 30%, I believe. So depending what the building capacity. So let's say an average gym building capacity is like 200, and you can only open up at 30%. That means you're not allowed to have more than 60 people in the building, and they still have to They still have to follow social distancing.
They doing temperature checks and all of that too.
So basically, what they're doing is saying that right now what they might be doing in there is like every other treadmill is allowed to be used, and then each one in between is not allowed to be used, things like that. Same thing with equipment. Everyone's expected to wipe things down. Now, I think this is going to work for the moment because people, when they're hypersensitive, are going to follow all these rules and restrictions, and they are so far cleaning everything down and this, that, and the other. But as time goes on, people get more lackadaisy, and things fall to the wayside, and then one case, and boom, we're right back to square one.
Yeah.
And restaurants reopened this past Friday at limited capacity. I think 25% capacity. So,
have any of you tried it?
I saw, where I live at in Montclair, it was, all the restaurants was open, and it was like they blocked off streets to accommodate the outdoor venues as well as the indoor. So,
I was catching a news conference with Murphy, and they asked him, would he go inside the restaurants and eat? And he was like, no. And it was like, why not? Are you scared? And it's like, it's not a scared thing. If you honestly look at it, you probably would prefer to eat outside right now just because of the weather, knowing that we're about to be inside anyway. We're going into fall and winter, and all of that's about to shut down on the outside front. So it's just about how you look at it. But I haven't tried to go out to eat. I won't be going out to eat. Just FYI.
I went out. I sit outside. I'm not sitting inside of the restaurants.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay for the governor to say that he is scared. Shit, he's opening this up for the people. That don't mean he got to lead by example.
Well,
and go
also
sit
too,
in a
he's
restaurant.
a cancer survivor.
Yeah, but even if he wasn't, even if he was in good health, hey, I'm opening this up for the economy. I'm not about to be rolling up in the restaurants just because y'all want me to.
No, but I think most importantly, at the back of his mind, he's a cancer survivor who's past the age of 55. So, his health is in question.
His health is in question, yeah.
Well, actually, I'm going out tonight to that French restaurant in Montclair, Frogwa, or whatever it's called. I forget what it is. I have reservations to eat. The way their reservations are right now, it's like you can either reserve to eat inside or outside, and we're actually eating outside just because my wife likes to eat outside anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'll let you know what it's like. Just haven't been in a restaurant in over 8 months now.
For real.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy to think about, Al.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then last two in entertainment news, and actually this is going to be a great transition into the book. So the Kansas City Chief of QB, Patrick Mahomes, just is now engaged to his high school sweetheart. And over this past summer, the Super Bowl winning, he signed a $500 million contract with the Kansas City Chiefs. So hopefully he gets that prenup before he walks down that aisle. And this is from Black Zeus Schubert himself, Dr. Dre's wife or ex-wife, Nicole.
Young.
Now is requesting $2 million a month in spousal support and divorce. And Chu, you probably could go into the breakdown in regards to what that $2 million consists of.
Well, as far as my understanding of it, I don't have my device here with me, but as far as my understanding of it is that she wants $2 million, $10,000 of it is just for laundry. I'm trying to understand what kind of laundry this woman does. Is $10,000 a month, but she wants $10,000 a month for laundry. She wants $20,000 a month for cell phone and phone use. She wants $125,000 for charitable, donations. Because Black Jesus needs his charitable donations. You gotta pay your tithes. She needs another $200,000 for another $60,000 a month for education. I'm trying to understand that one and living.
I could get that one. If those kids are in private schools, I could get that one.
No,
Yeah,
but how old
her
are the
kids are grown.
Though? They all grown.
They're all grown? They're adults?
Yeah. They've been married 24 years. Her kids are adults.
You obviously know
adults like
$60,000
in college adults or like adults like completely out of school.
They may be in college. I mean, Dr. Dre is about 55. He's the same age as my
like
mom.
if their kids going to like USC, I know that tuition ain't cheap.
Yeah, I'm looking at
$60,000 a month.
It says the education covers the tuition and the living expense.
Okay.
So you know that she's just justifying, it's like she's not spending all that money on whatever each month. She is justifying.
She's financially raping him.
I mean, I don't know. I had a conversation.
Entertainment, she's spending $900,000 a month for entertainment.
No, see, but that's the problem I have.
Hold on, let me ask y'all this question.
Let me say this right quick. She's spending $900,000 a month on entertainment, but only $100,000 a month on mortgage. Just let that roll around for a second.
So you know that she ain't spending all that bread. Here's the question though, because I was talking to Lachelle about this yesterday. Yo, Dr. Dre's worth $800 million. Yeah, he can get. She wants $2 million a month or $2 million. Yo, give it to her. Y'all been married for 24 years. She had all of these kids. I'm pretty sure that even if, and who knows, even if she decided like, yo, I want to have a career, she gave that up when this dude decided to, pursue the music. And yes, it has paid off handsomely, but they've been married for 24 something years. So it ain't like it's been like 5 or 6. She's given, like if she worked for 24 years, she'd be close to retirement.
Yeah. And you know what? And to that point, spousal support could only be like for 5-6 years. So,
and and $2 million to him, all right, if you making $100 million a year, or let's say you make it $80 million. Okay, cool. You give this chick 20. Somebody
Okay.
who rode with you for 20-something years, bared all of your kids, sacrificed how she sacrificed. You know, like I'm not saying it wasn't sacrifices made on both sides.
You didn't hit that triggering word, sacrifice.
Yeah.
Sacrifice.
Yeah.
Black Zeus about to go in.
So hold on. So before Zeus
like, what
goes
the hell
in,
you mean sacrifice?
Let me just pose this question before Zeus goes in. Yo, if the roles were reversed and you was like, yo, I'm not going to work, I'm just gonna take care of the household. Now I'm 50-something years old and I have no job skills, no job experience, no work experience, period. Now you're saying, oh, well, you just gotta go on and like, I know you're about to retire, but you gotta go and start your work career now? Yeah, I don't think that's fair, bro.
I think it still depends on the individual situation, because I don't know if you know what their
let's talk about
was.
this one. Yeah, let's talk about this.
Hold
That's what I'm
up.
saying.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. I'm saying you don't know what their conversation was regarding this. You
Here's
don't
my
know
thing.
if he asked her to go to work and she said, "I'm not going to work." You don't know what their background was with this. You know what I mean?
Now, I'm sorry, but let's get some things straight. One, she didn't give up nothing. All right, she gave up dating one celebrity to dating another celebrity. Okay, because she was dating, I forget who the dude is.
You mean 24 years ago?
Yeah, 24 years ago, she gave up dating one celebrity to get with Dr. Dre. You know what I mean? That's literally what happened. Is that she broke up with one dude and got with Dre. Got with Dre back in '96 when Dre was already in his career, already doing her thing. Already doing his thing. So she gave up squat jack shit.
He was already with Death Row Records at that time.
She sacrificed and built nothing.
Yeah.
She sacrificed and built zero. Let's
get
that straight.
So the family.
Hold on.
So the family life they had together is nothing.
Hold on, Captain Saberho. All right.
Yeah, because his first baby mama was.
Hold on.
On the
all
side
right.
too.
Now she got with him. Right. They've been together 24 years. Yeah, she bear his children, and she's been with him all this time, this, that, and the other, so forth and so on. She has been his wife, and she has been by his side, supporting him and all of that. That's all well and good, you know. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't have some sort of benefit of the marriage, so whatever you want to call it. But $2 million a month?
No, $24 million a year. Just call it what it is.
It's 24, yeah.
Okay.
And it's probably
$24 million a year for giving up what career that you never had, what potential you never showed.
But again, you don't know any of this.
Never achieved on your own. Now, if you were a Beyonce chick and you gave up being Beyonce, or Jada Pinkett Smith gave up her career, I understand. But if you just went from jumping on one person's bandwagon to jumping to another person's bandwagon, I'm sorry, your Kelly Blue Book value is way out of par. Okay,
who did she date before Dr. Dre?
Like, I
doesn't even matter at this point.
That's what I'm saying. Like
it doesn't matter. But the whole thing is,
it
would only make sense. Your argument would only make sense if she was like someone who had a career or had something going on in her life prior to jumping from one celebrity to the other.
All right, so hold on. But here's the question.
And you're looking at it, hey Henry, you're looking at it at the amount of money that he has versus what he has to pay out. Think of it on the scale of the amount of money that you would have and the amount that you would have to pay out. It might be kind of equivalent, and it doesn't seem like it is, but when one other person is paying that out, that's a lot of money on one's behalf.
I know. Well, that depends on. Now and again, I don't know how much Dr. Dre makes each year. If you're making $80 million and she asking for 24, I don't think that's that big. I don't.
But yo, dude, they're in California, bro, and California taxes are sky high. Here's the thing. But the thing is, I side with you. If spousal support is short term anyway, I'm assuming that it's probably gonna be in the next for the 5-7 years. If he could endure that for the next 5 to 7 years, it's not a big deal.
Now, don't get me wrong.
It's not even just a matter of what he can endure. It's a matter of is it a reasonable amount.
But that's what I'm saying.
A reasonable amount is $24 million a reasonable amount to ask someone to, basically support you or pay or take care of you
Yeah.
After you decided to leave them.
Well, again,
yeah, because basically, she at the end of 7 years, she's going to get a Pat Mahomes contract in the city.
Pretty much.
So like,
pretty much.
Right?
So
Okay,
like,
because that seems ridiculous to me still. I'm sorry.
So like, I guess it depends on. I guess it does depend on how they split. Like if you do it, if she did him dirty, and they ended on like bad terms, and that's one thing. Also, unless we know, and Smith, you touched on the Schubert too. Unless we know the specifics, all of it is assumption. It's just assuming. Schubert, you're assuming she was an unemployed broke chick before she got with them dudes. You don't know that for a fact. You don't even know what her job
that
was.
though, man. You go Google that.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll send
you
you
can
the
Google
link,
that.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah,
all right,
you probably could Google what she was doing.
I'm almost sure she was. Dr. Dre was
I'm not.
Chicks, so
I will send you the link, bro. I checked it out. Because I wanted to know what the deal was.
It says she was unemployed and with another celebrity.
Yes.
So she didn't have a job. That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, send me the link, because if it does, so if it says
with Dr. Dre at that time, man.
So if it says she was an unemployed groupie or unemployed whatever, then okay, that's a little different.
But let's say, all right, let's
no,
say
if she has a job though, Shub, you can't say,
right,
she was jumping from one dude to another.
Let's say, what job would you say that she would have had to have been doing that if she was still in that job today, she would be earning $24 million a year?
Facts, bro. Because she would have either been an oil tycoon or one of these software engineers.
You have to really justify this one,
Like she would have to been one of those two career options.
So this
now, if you said
she could have been a lawyer or something. So she could have been this, that, and the other, and she was making $500,000 a year. Okay, that's reasonable. That's believable.
That's
$24 million, my dude.
So that's
$900,000 on monthly entertainment.
You know it's not going to that though. Yo, you know,
but she outlined it that way. Though. She like you got to go by what.
Obviously, the lawyer's telling her to outline it. And again, that was part of the conversation that I had yesterday. I said with my wife. I said, okay, let's say that she was a teacher for whatever. Let's say I'm sorry. No, listen. Let's say that she was a teacher just for all intents and purposes. Okay, cool. For the last 25 years, this is how much money you would have made. All right, cool. I'm gonna give you that. I'll give you that in a lump sum. And then I'll give you whatever I feel is fair. Like, I think that that's fair as well. But again, if I'm making $100 million and you rocked out with me for the last 24 years and you had my kids and you held me down and it's not going to be forever as far as me giving you $24 million, and we ended amicably. Like, I don't hate you, you don't hate me. Like, I'll give you the $24 million a year.
No, but you know what? And I think a lawyer, a family court lawyer is good in this conversation. Is this before or after taxes?
Oh, it got to be before.
You sure?
No, that's after taxes.
That's after taxes.
Don't know.
That's after taxes.
Because that makes a difference too in regards of how I look at that situation.
But here's the thing. You don't even have to be. Here's the thing. In this system, you don't even have to be married to somebody. You don't even have to have their kids. All you have to do is say that you was, living with them for a certain amount of period of time. And
that's
if
not
they
this case, though.
To split up, guess what? They could still get that money out.
Yeah, and that's wrong. That's wrong. But that's not the situation here, though.
But it is the situation. It's the situation, but with a contract.
Sure, but y'all was married for 24 years, and you had my kids.
Because here's the thing: when Dre got with her. When Dre got with her, he had her sign off on a prenup, and now she's trying to say, "Oh no, I was forced into it."
So look,
really,
if he decides to not give it to her, that's fine. My opinion is, if he gave it to her, like, I don't think that in this situation, I don't think it's her taking advantage. Like, I rocked out with you for 24 years. Yes, I got used to living this lifestyle. I bared your kids. It's not like I was some side chick or something. I was your number one for 24 years.
And you got benefits for 24 years. You was living the highlight for 24 years.
Okay, so now,
hold on. Time out. Let Smith inject. What you were saying. Smith the last person we get into these questions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that, because you got 20,000 for like emails and cell phones. Like, even if it's an outline, like you got 20,000 for emails. Do you even pay? Who pays for the email?
So now, if the
Who
judge
pays
came
for the
down
email, Henry? I'm asking. Yes. Do you pay for your email?
or
I don't
email,
recall getting a bill for an email.
Do you pay for your email?
Yeah, I've never
No,
seen
I
an
don't pay for no
invoice.
email.
Okay, so
No.
let's wrap it right there, bro. You see what it is. Money grab. Let's go.
All right, here's my
Yeah,
final statement on it.
but
Statement on it. Number one, Dre started back in 87.
Late 80s,
She got with him in 96 when he already had 10 years of success.
already with Death
When she got
Row.
with him for that 24 years, she enjoyed and indulged in his success. She did not have to work. She did not have to struggle. She had no turmoil, no suffering, other than, making babies. All right.
And enduring him cheating,
give you
though.
that.
yeah,
I'll give
enduring
you
him
that
cheating,
one.
sitting
All
at
right.
home, taking care of the
enduring
kids.
cheating. Whoa. Enduring
Yeah,
cheating.
but that's why she ain't getting half.
Yeah.
All right. Now, here's my thing, right? All of that, and now you're saying after all of that, now there needs to be an extra reward when you leave. There's a reward while you're there, and there's a reward while you leave.
All right,
Like,
so
that doesn't make sense.
I'll just pose a final question. I won't say nothing.
All right, no final questions. That's it.
Yeah,
Let's get into the questions. Fellas. We're going into the book now.
That's why we need a time limit. I'm
the time limit, and we're going into the book questions now. All right, fellas. We got 5 questions for the week. All right, so chapter 5, Dr. Farrell mentions that there were a way of making combat an equal opportunity that still preserved combat readiness. Can men and women ever work side by side in a physical and mental taxing environment?
I'll say yes.
Well, one. I think that might be misquoted. I don't think Dr. Farrell actually said. Repeat that question one more time.
So in chapter 5, he mentions that there's a way that making combat an equal opportunity that still preserve combat readiness. Can men and women ever work side by side in a physical and mental taxing environment? Because he goes on to talk about there were situations in which some of the men, military officials, they were complaining about having to carry that extra load when women were having their menstrual cycles. Some of the women, and maybe Black Zeus will go into it about like how they were doing a pregnancy.
Women were that Navy pregnant syndrome that they were doing. Okay, so part of it, I think I don't think that they can thrive in the same environment if it's like combat, wartime ready. One of those things that I was looking at, one of the pictures that was striking to me was the Chinese with the sledgehammer, doing the sledgehammer. You put the brick through your head, and then you get the sledgehammer, just to show you that you are stronger than this hammer, and you're stronger than what you think. If you had an image of women having bricks on their head, getting smashed with the sledgehammer, that's going to be a little more striking than the men. A lot of the men were saying that the women, as far as the war, that they weren't able to hold their weight and do certain things, and that they were calling out of certain jobs and tasks. And if we got our own cadre and we formed a little unit, and we know that we work off each other and we need each other in that time when somebody else is replaced, it affects it. Working side by side as a teacher, that's one thing. Working side by side on a garbage truck, that's another thing.
Yeah, I think it just depends on as it comes to war or physical combat. No, if you're talking about like construction worker, look, if you got to lift 100 pounds, as long as you're able to, it don't matter what gender you are. I think it comes down to the desire. Like, those aren't desirable positions for many females. I'm sure that they want to do. So, like, if they get to choose, no, I don't want to do that. Even if it might pay more than what it is that they're doing. So I think it's possible. I don't think it's realistically ever going to happen, though.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a like they were talking about that story with Lieutenant Conklin, who was on the naval ship that got hit, the submarine that got hit.
Yeah.
No, naval ship that got hit. And how He felt like he was crawling through a pizza oven, but he had to save the other troops that was on the boat with him. And he felt like he was crawling through a pizza oven. And every time he would touch something searing, it would burn his hand, and he would pick it back up, and the skin would be left on the metal pipe.
And how he had to close his eyelids.
And how he had to close his eyelids. That was very visible to me. And I don't necessarily see a female doing that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see them pushing past that. Not to say that they couldn't, but I don't see that in that aspect.
Yeah, I just think it just comes down to the expectations. Like, we don't expect them to. Not saying that, like, I mean, if you can give birth and feel that pain, not saying that that's equivalent to your freaking skin being burned off your hand, but it's just like, y'all can endure this pain too. But it's,
Man.
But what they were doing, that's crazy. And what they're saying is the men are given equal opportunity to lose their lives. And women aren't, they want equal opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. It's the expectations.
Really opportunity. And that's the myth of the male power. We expect men to do certain things to be a certain way. When we say women want equality, we say, okay, you want equality. Well, are you willing to take this bullet to the head? Hell, no, I'm not willing to take no bullet to the head. That's not the kind of equality I was talking about. So then they backpedal and back out. That whole thing about that pregnant Navy syndrome, that was eye-opening to me.
That was too. Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy as hell that, you would get pregnant to get out of the duty, on purpose to get out of the duty, but then get rid of the fetus, the only time that we have that right, we have the right as a fetus, the book was saying, but then males have the obligation of death. Females don't have that obligation of death. When a female is born, she has the right to the fetus, and she has the right to the choice of her body. The male, he doesn't have that choice. The government has a choice of his body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That,
I think a lot of it.
So I agree with what Kels was saying. The ideals, idealistically, you say, physically, one should do it, the other should do it. But the reality is that we live in America and not in Sparta. If you were talking about some Spartan women that, like since they were born or something, they've been, taught how to be, strong, but that's not the case. In our society, we teach our males, our boys to be strong since they were young, when we're wrestling with them and fighting with them and having them play football. And if they fall down, you be like, yo, get up, man up, brush it off, shake it off, walk it off, whatever the case is. But your baby girl fall down, you're like, oh, boo, boo, come here, let me go get you a Band-Aid, this, that, and the other. So, women haven't been bred or cultured to endure suffering and endure pain, endure, hardship, while men have. Not because of a specific sex thing, but more, it's just a mental, I want to say a mental training, if you will, to say yourself that I'm a man and that's what I'm supposed to do, or I'm, real man, be able to take this type of pain or X, Y, and Z. But the minute that you say, hey, it's time to, for something like, like you said, if you're going to war, this, that, and the other, a lot of these females are gonna say, oh no, I don't want to do that. That's not the equality that I want. I want equality in all the positive stuff,
like
not aim the negatives. And that's the hypocrisy of it all.
Pratt?
Nah, like me personally, I don't think men and women could ever work in any environment that includes both a physical and mental taxing environment. Just because we as men, we're just physically and mentally capable of just doing so much more. It goes to the question last week in regards of men's selflessness. I just think that men, when we think about, the greater society, is just like we have a larger scheme, whereas, the slightest bit of pain, to Shuba's point, today, with today's westernized women, they're willing to tap out. And like, I know a couple of guys who work construction, and there's something about male camaraderie in that environment that gets you through those long, grueling, hot days that, you don't want a woman to just disrupt that vibe, so I just don't think it could ever exist due to a sense of humor. and just a sense of mental and physical fortitude.
Yeah.
I think homeboy, this would be my final point. Not just with this point, but just with a lot of them. He's just saying, like, it's up to men to hold the women accountable when we get put in those positions. So, like, the whole conversation that we even having, oh, well, you know, women say that they want this part of quiet, but not that part of quiet. Like, nah, fuck that. You have to do both parts. We got to start holding you accountable.
I think that's one of the questions coming up. So, all right,
Yeah.
question 2 now.
Yeah, he was
but
talking about having that emancipated country where it frees men from the obligation to protect women, but also understanding that women have an obligation to protect men. So a lot of the things that were happening with the destruction of the male and how he was being in an environment, when a female was introduced into that environment, things got changed. More safety procedures were going into place. More safety protocols were going into place. More studies were being done and things like that. But when the male was going through this on his own, it was just kind of like, come on, man. Like Shoop said a minute ago, toughen up, man.
Yeah. There was no labor unions. There weren't, none of that safety hazards.
You know what, though?
But it also didn't speak to the, wait, I wasn't done. It also didn't speak to that where it was talking about the 18-year-old who doesn't want to go. He has this young nubile body. And because he doesn't want to go to the draft, he ends up going to jail. And because people look at him as not being a fighter because he didn't want to go to the draft to fight, he doesn't have that penchant for violence. What they do is they attack him, they rape him. He ends up with AIDS, and then you end up killing him on a different matter. So either way, he's still set up to die. He's set up for destruction. You know?
And he's not eligible for student aid, student federal aid.
For anything.
For
any government job, no postal job, nothing.
Yeah. And I don't think today women are eligible. I don't think women are mandated to
sign up for selective service. No,
correct.
They're not.
Yeah, they're not. Even not. Today.
No, that's
but
crazy.
There's nothing sexist about that.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, that's crazy in itself.
All right, I'll jump around for this one. So we're gonna go to Black Zeus question number 4. Beyonce has a song called "If I Were a Boy," detailing how women view a male perspective. Do you think women will really trade gender roles with men if given the opportunity? No. I think they would say yes, but if you don't, preface it with all of the issues that men face, then they're gonna say yes. You gotta preface.
So I think before they can answer a female, before they can answer the question, I think they need to read the Mela Myth Power.
Yeah, they have to.
And then
they need to read it with the unbiased.
With a little more.
I was gonna say,
they got to be unbiased when they.
But dude, how could you be biased when you're being hit with statistics and other studies? Like, I don't understand.
Because biasness. I don't know if you've had this, if you've actually talked to any females about this, but they are quick to rebut it with what?
And they keep saying,
are they rebutting it with feelings, or are they rebutting with like counter studies and statistics?
Yeah.
So
it's actually more emotional than actual, factual.
Emotional.
Well, but then you got to tell them you're giving me an emotional response.
But you know what?
Exactly.
But they're not hearing it.
No, I had a conversation with my wife at the beginning, especially with the whole army, men being drafted and women not. And I mean, she did bring up a point, like back then, like, either women weren't allowed to vote or they was just getting it. So the right. So we were the ones
today is different,
who were
but
voting.
It's not changing.
But who's the ones who started it? We were.
Like, well, actually, that's not true.
Hold on. Time out. Who is the ones making these movements to change things?
No, you're
where
right.
it's like
now.
if you're on a job and you make a dirty joke, you will get fined or lose your job or this, that, and the other. Who's pushing that agenda?
But you know what, Schubert, and I mean, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Is there a push by males today that says, like, we're tired of being the only ones that have to go to war? No. Like, if we made a big deal, like, that's the point. We're not saying anything about it. We're not making a big deal.
We might.
There's not a big push, but I'm sure there is a movement. I'm sure that somebody has started a movement. It's
There's not a big push
because, again, it's just how we still look at society and how society will look at it. But
exactly, society is still not changed.
To make it equitable, it would have to actually change.
Well,
you
look,
know?
if we make up a large part of the population of the population,
We don't make
and
up a large part of the population. Women outnumber men globally.
Yep.
I mean, no, we're not the majority, but we still make up at least like 40% of the population. If you have 40% of us saying that this isn't fair, and okay, well, we're not voting for the dude who's
No, we don't have 40%.
favor of.
All right, but you can't. But how many of that 40% truly care about the issue? Like, men don't care about men's issue.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have
That's
to
'cause
be
they're
the ones to
conditioned
say
to-
something.
Yeah.
But you also got to realize that's because they've been conditioned since they were young boys.
Exactly.
That's just the way it
Exactly.
is.
Exactly.
And that's what a real man does.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
you've been conditioned that way all your life, and no one's ever brought this perspective to the plate and made you stop and think about it, why would you question it?
I mean, it is being brought to the plate now when you see, and this is common sense. You see women saying, we've been treated a certain way all this time, and now we don't want to be treated that way anymore. All of the men are just sitting back saying, well, dang, I'm being treated unfairly. They're fighting, so I'm just not going to fight. Like,
no, because the problem is, as the book tells you, Henry, we don't have support groups. We don't have funding for men. We don't have these things, Henry. So that's the difference. You know?
No, but I
the difference is these programs are not big for men because we don't have it. If Henry started one and got movement and traction, two things would happen. If it's not privately funded, it's damn sure not going to be publicly funded for men right now.
So my question is, I know it's not there. Why aren't these things in place? Because we're not making a big deal about it.
Talk about their feelings. Because men are taught not to communicate. Because men are taught to hold things in. Because when a veteran sees a sign that a lady puts out of her home that says, "Welcome back, vets. Thank you for your services." 10 years late, the vet cries. The vet cries because he's like, damn, at least somebody can hear me. Somebody's feeling, somebody's thinking about me. We don't look out for our men. Our men are disposable. The book talks about it. Men are disposable.
I agree.
Men are raised to be destructive, not necessarily constructive, to be destructive, so therefore they become disposable.
So then what does it say about us that there have been roles that females have, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. They're actively changing it. We see the roles that we're supposed to have, and we're just saying, oh, well, that's just what society is saying.
We don't
communicate. We don't.
If I want to be with a female, society is telling me I have to be a certain way. In the Mel of Miss Power, it tells you that a female would go for a guy that is educated with money, right?
Because
she would go for this for a married, but a female will also not go for the unemployed, not the guy that doesn't have money.
But yeah, I mean, that's one extreme.
It's still a whole conditioning, man.
But that's one extreme to the other, Smith. I mean, you going from having a job to not having a job.
No, that's not one extreme to the other.
It is. What chicken?
It's the conditioning. It's the conditioning of these individuals. It's not one extreme to the other. I'm conditioned to be. The book was talking about the 3 P's. We'll get into that later. But I'm conditioned to be, and I wanted to add a 4th P because Schubert's peacocking is the 4th P to the 3 P's. Anyway, we're conditioned. We're raised like that. So until we change that mindset, until there's a mind shift, we're going to raise our children.
I'm agreeing with you, Smith.
My son that he has to be a protector.
But that's what I'm saying. So why has the mind shift? And I'll say this and then I'll stop. Why has the mind shift changed with the women who've been conditioned, who were conditioned one way? Now they're changing their thought process. But with the men, it's not changing.
Well, the women are not trying to necessarily hear the plight.
So there's two reasons I would like to propose.
Oh, go ahead, Shu.
Reason number one is why it's not being changed is because men are being raised by women, and women are telling men that this is the type of man you need to be.
Okay, that makes sense.
And just like Beyonce's little song, she's saying how, if I was a boy, I would do this and I would do that and I should do this and I should do that. Who the fuck are you? You ain't never been a man. Shut the fuck up, Like if a dude wrote a song about, hey, if I was a woman, I would cook for my man and I would blow him every Sunday or something, it would be wrong, right? So who the fuck are you to come along
That should be a
and
Billboard
say,
#1
oh,
right there.
if I was a boy, I would do this and I would do that. You see what I'm saying? So the whole thing is a woman cannot tell a man how to be a man. But that's the problem. You have women raising men and making them, well, bitches. Sorry, don't know another way to put it, but making them bitches.
I agree.
It's just, they don't have, in their mindset, this is what I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm. So so the whole thing is, if they've never come across another man who's already gone through that walk and knows the struggle of that walk, to say, son, listen, this is the struggle that comes with this walk. I don't want it to happen to you. Right? I don't want it to happen to you. Make a different choice. Go a different way. Go your own way. All right?
Well, that makes sense.
Own way. Because the whole thing is, a lot of the females, they're getting that from their moms.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go in there and go cooking for this man. Go and get your career, girl. Go and get your education, girl. Go do what you got to do for you, girl. All right? But when it comes to their sons, they turn around to their sons. You're going to be a good man to your woman, and you're going to make sure that she do this and she get that, and that you take care of her and blah, 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 and raising her son to be this ideal man that she's always wanted.
That's stupid. I'm not saying that's stupid.
No, I think what you're missing is this, Henry. You want it to be fast forward. Remember, everything, the Black Lives Matter movement is just getting that traction, or, the Black experience, we're just getting traction with certain protocols.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just taking men a little longer to wake up to this. You understand?
Well,
it's just taking men a little longer to get together. Like, think about this. We've opened this up to the other people. We have a book club with four Black men on it. Come on now. How often do you see that? We're starting to have conversations to uncork our emotions rather than uncork the liquor bottle. That's what's been happening. You know what I mean? The dude, instead of learning how to uncork his emotions, he uncorked the liquor bottle. He uncorked the drugs. That's what the man has been talking to. Where the women have been able to go to a support group and say, damn, I didn't realize there was a lot of women like me. Yes, they're a lot like you. If men started that, they'd be like, damn, I didn't know there was a lot of men like me. Yes, there are a lot of men like you.
See, and here's the thing. The second part to my thing is the fact of, when you don't have men around to raise their sons to be men, then their sons are not going to have a perspective of what their father has been through, or what their uncle or their great grandfather, so forth, so on, so that they could change the path in the next generation. So the whole thing is, there's a part where, you need men to be around to teach other men how to change the narrative. All right.
Yes.
That's the thing, is that you need men to be raising their sons to change the narrative and say, yo, son, it's okay to be loved. It's okay to be hugged. It's okay to cry, but as long as you understand, hardship is a part of life, like there has to be that balance. I'm not saying that a woman can't raise a decent man. I'm just saying the fact that she's not going to understand the struggles of a man, because in her viewpoint, a man has all of the advantage. And is it really true?
Correct.
Yeah.
Brad, how much time we got left on this question? I
agree with that.
We should transition to the next one, but it seems like you want to, squeak something in. Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I said that last point that was it.
So question number 2, actually question number 3. I like this one. Within the Black community, Black women are seen as the oppressed, neglected group. However, Dr. Farrell goes on to state Black men face quadruple jeopardy: racism, sexism, antagonism, and neglect. He even goes as far as calling Black men an endangered species. What should Black men be doing to bring awareness to their plight?
Holding people accountable. I mean, this all comes back to the same thing. Like,
I think it depends on each one of those scenarios. I think it all depends on each one of those scenarios. Like, if you're talking about neglect, then, obviously you have to call attention to yourself and say, listen, I'm not getting the attention I need. But
you know what? The reason why I brought this question up, two events come to mind. I don't know if you guys remember the 2014 or 15 campaign that happened in Nigeria that says bring back our girls. Remember, it was like a Boko Haram Islamic terrorist group.
Boko Haram.
Yeah, Boko. Yeah. And so the main focus of that campaign, and granted, this is another country. When I talk about Black community, I'm thinking about America, but obviously this is happening in another country. But you can almost say there's similarities there. So like the main focus of that event was having these girls brought back. And I remember a Vanity article that talked about like the shocking story of Boko Haram and how 10,000 boys were missing and how hundreds of boys and men who were killed in that whole process. And it makes me think of the Black community. Like, yo, we have like, I think a New York Times article said the same, had a headline that said there's 1.5 million Black men unaccounted for, just unaccounted for, whether it's due to prison, homelessness, or just straight up MIA for whatever reason. And it just goes to show you, like, I don't know, like when you have major publications like Vanity Fair and New York Times that says like, yo, there's something happening with Black men, not only in the United States, but globally, and it doesn't get enough traction. I don't know what there's really to say. Like a lot of times we just don't necessarily spend enough time talking about what's going on with the state of Black men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that whole endangered species. I heard that before. I heard that growing up.
Yeah.
And growing up, I felt as though at times I wouldn't make it to 21. I was shot at 14 years old in the neck. And I felt as though I wouldn't make it to 21 because that endangered species, I started believing it for an instance. But then my other mind says, if I'm an endangered species, I'm supposed to be protected.
Exactly.
Because every endangered species on the planet Earth is protected, except the Black male, if you want to quote unquote call us endangered species. So yeah, I got a little issue with that one.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, you say that D.L. Hughley was actually trying to get Black men put onto the endangered species list a couple years back ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was funny as hell. He was trying to actually get Black men put on the endangered species list to be protected. You know, it was quite funny. I mean, I'm not sure how serious he was. You know, it was I think it was like an HBO special or something like that. You know, that where he was like, it was almost like a documentary where he was going around and, you know, giving statistics. I mean, you know, what's the chance of a Black man making it to the age of 21 or 24 or something like that? The statistic against Black men going to prison and how much money is made off of Black men in prison, you know, with the prison system and everything. And it was really, really, really interesting. I thought it was really interesting, but kind of funny because it was D.L. Hughley of all people. You know, it's kind of hard to take him seriously, you know. But I don't know. It'd be different if they were saying why these Black men were disappearing. If they said they were being murdered, then okay, I see where you can fix the problem. But if they're just going MIA,
like some of it was contributed to like incarceration, some of it was contributed to like, you know, homelessness. But like then you had a faction of it was just like they're just MIA. Like I guess mostly if they go, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think honestly with that question, I want to give Dr. Farrell props for even touching on the racial matter too. I was impressed with that. Yeah, I was impressed with that because, you know, he could have, you know, kept it strictly on the gender issue, but like the fact that he even recognized, yo, Black men out of all groups have it the worst, you know. I just think that you need Black women to be on, you know, on board and realizing like, and realizing the plight of the Black man. It's just like, I think at this point, you know, Black man voices are just no longer present and it has disappeared for quite a bit of time since I guess the civil rights movement really, that you need people to outside people to really speak up for us. As sad as it is, that's
and you need the educated us to speak up for us.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
The bandit, remember that bandit is not necessarily going to speak for itself. So you need the educated us to speak for us. So like Shoop said in the, you know, a few minutes ago, the only way that that's going to happen is by us actually changing that narrative and being the ones to speak up for ourselves. Because if we still have all of these males being raised by females, you know, as you said, if we have all these males being raised by females, they never will truly know what it is to be that male or what the struggle is to be a male, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, Kels, you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, kind of what y'all was, along the same lines. Even just think about what you were saying, Brad, about the whole bring back the girls. At some point, it has to be, some light has to be shed on, okay, well, all of these dudes was missing too.
Yeah, exactly.
So somebody has to step up and say, well, like, yeah, all of these girls was missing. Like, it's okay, you make a documentary at some point to mention, like, yo, these dudes was in it too.
Yeah.
As
Young
opposed to
boys.
just so somebody does have to step up for every version of R. Kelly or Harry Weinstein that they come up with. No, there needs to be, well, shit, then LaToya Jackson or whoever did the same thing to me. Like, it can't just be, because now it's just that perception like it's only one-sided. So,
well, you remember when Cardi B admitted that she was drugging dudes, and there was one dude who came out and said, yo, I was one of the victims, and they dismissed him.
Yeah, they dismissed them. They sure did. They
well, what prompted,
okay, whatever.
What prompted her to say that, though?
Dude complaining about being drugged.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think part of it is the fact that why men get dismissed in all of these situations is because, it's this double standard where women want equality, but they still want the benefits of being the quote unquote weaker sex. Meaning the fact of, oh, we're the innocent ones, we're the mothers, we're the ones that bear the babies and all of that stuff. So then when you think of them like that, because most of us I think are going to have a fond recollection of our moms, the nurturing one, the sweet one, the one you go and cry to. So then females use that, and that's how we perceive them as like the weaker or the one that's struggling harder or going harder, this, that, and the other. And we don't see the male or respect the strength. We look at the males like, oh, he's the one that's disconnected, or he's the one that's stoic, or he's the stronger one, but not saying that he had to be stoic. He had to be the stronger one. Daddy had to go to work, 2 jobs in order to put food on the table. That's why he's not home. And mommy is home to, clean up all your scrapes and cuts and everything. So, as we're reading this book and it's bringing a lot of these things to light, and you really got to change your frame of mind of how you looked at the whole picture and how the whole thing is. It's like, females have their struggles. No one's denying that. But so do males. They're 2 different struggles. But the whole thing is, which struggle do you think you would rather endure? Yeah. The struggle of being home alone with your child, or the struggle of being at work, doing a job you hate, being yelled at a boss that you don't like, outside of your home? Like, you really got to look at the struggle and say to yourself, which one are you willing to endure?
Well, I'll say this final point about it, just like, and shoot, what you said really is making me think, as far as, like, it just seems like the male is at a disadvantage because you're growing up in a household with the woman and you're only getting that one perspective. So they're telling you the side of the story or the narrative that they want to create. So, I mean, it's tough to combat all these other issues that we do find out later on in life that some people that some males just do accept. Like, well, fuck it, that's just the way it is. But like, the whole fact that I'm growing up with this woman, whether it be because my dad didn't want to be around or my mom didn't, want him around, like, I'm only hearing one side of the story.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That one side of the story is detrimental because I'll give you, for example, personal story. When I was about, I want to say 14, right? My parents were divorced at the time. And I was with my dad for the weekend, and we stopped at the bank. We went to the bank to get not the bank, to the post office to get money orders. He went to the bank, then to the post office to get money orders. He was getting money orders to send out to the IRS. Now he's sitting there, he's writing out this money order. And I'm like, hell, why are you sending so, like, because the money order has like a limit of $500 or something like that, and he had to send like a couple thousand. And I'm like, why are you getting so many money orders? And he explained to me, well, son, me and your mother divorced, and we agreed that one of us would get, like, your mom would claim you on her taxes, and I would claim your sister on your on my taxes, and that was the agreement we had. But for some reason this year, my mom claimed both me and my sister. So now when my father claimed my sister on his taxes, the IRS said, yo, you claimed this child that's already been claimed. You owe us that tax money back plus fines. My dad never addressed it with my mom. He just ate it. He took it on the chin, even though he was still sending money to help my mom out with me and my little sister, even though he was still, an active part in me and my little sister's life, and that's the bullets that, men have to take on the chin, and nobody ever hears about it. And if you whine or cry or wince about it, you ain't a real man, according to some woman who ain't never had to endure it.
Yeah.
That is the problem right there, that message does not get out there at all. Like, I'm fortunate that I got that message from my dad, that I saw what he did. I saw his struggle. I saw his anguish, and that he ate it. He ate it. He never cried, never whined. He ate it to the day he died, And boys aren't getting that message. And seeing that happen with my dad, I said I would never let that happen to me.
I know that's right.
I'm not going to let it happen to my son.
Nope. I'm not eating anything. I'm done. I'm full. That's what's up.
All right. Well, let's go into like question number 5. This is Mr. Black Zeus himself conducting independent research out here. Like it had to be done. So he asked. I
had to take one for the team.
So he asked 10 men and women, what would they do if they were each other's gender for a year? The women responses are as follows. 10 said pee standing up, which is bizarre to me. I don't know why. But 9 said sleep with as many women as they can. And the men responses, basically all 10 said that they would get as much free and paid stuff as they can. So in your opinion, do you see do women see men as just penises, and do men see women as privileged?
So let me preface this, right? So the whole thing is, reading this book, it made me really think. And I just, want to see some people's perspective without telling about, how I'm reading the book. So I just kind of said, what if you was a man for a year? I have a lot of female clients, and I said, what if you were a man for a year, just in casual conversation? And, all of them said, I would pee standing up. So I don't know what kind of,
I don't know what power you get
sitting down to pee, but pee standing up seems to be a big thing with women, like if they,
and there are some women who actually do that now too.
So that seems to be a big thing. Then the second answer that a majority of them gave me was like, I would sleep as many women as I could. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, isn't that the same thing that you women tend to demonize men for doing? But that's the first thing that comes to your mind for some reason. And mind you, these are educated women. These are career women. These are women that are doing their own thing. These are, only one of them was a lesbian, So I don't, I'm not sure if it's penis envy or if that's just how they view men. Secondly, when I ask males the question in reverse, all of them said something towards either get into the club for free, get free drinks, have somebody pay for dinner, have somebody pay for this. Like it was all about what privileges they can get as a woman, without having to give anything. Just a matter of just like, I'm pretty, so give me, pay me, share from, whatever the case was. So I just thought it was really interesting, the two different perspectives where none of the women said, oh, I would die for a woman. I would protect a woman. I would procreate as many children as I could. None of them said that. None of them said that. That was not a thought in their heads.
They just want the perks. I mean, I guess it goes both ways, because when I sat back and thought about it,
with those responses, would they be getting pee standing up and sleeping as many?
No, I'm talking about.
You don't know.
I don't understand pee standing up.
But that's the thing. I don't think at the time, what I think is the fact that when you say the perks, I think they could not really sit there and say what real perks a man has.
Yeah.
That's probably the highest perks they can think of. And if that is the highest perks they could think of, what does that say about a man's life?
Well, it also said they have
that is a female can sleep with as many men as she want anyway. So just to say that as a male, I will sleep with as many women as I want. I mean, that's the same thing. That's
exactly.
Maybe without being judged.
Height, you know what I mean?
I asked my wife this morning, and she just said I'd want to be if I'd be a male, I would something along the lines like she felt like she'd just be a superior athlete. She was like, yo, if I could be a male for a year, I would go to the gym every day and try to be a superior athlete. And I'm saying, well, you can still do that. And she was just like, yeah, but I just think I'd be a better athlete as a man. I said,
but she didn't say I'd be a better husband. She didn't say I'd be a better provider.
No, but the women, but the men ain't say that either.
So I think
but my whole thing is, but that's what women tell men a real man is.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the females are looking at it because nowadays with, the independency and all of that, and females dating other females and having dildos and what have you, and saying that, sometimes I don't even need a man for a penis at this point. I think a lot of the time the boys become addicted to the girls, and the girls don't necessarily become addicted to the boys.
Homeboy mentioned that. He said that in the book too.
Look, the ads that are geared, when you're talking about sex, most of the ads that are geared are showing scantily clad women. You don't necessarily see this with men. You might see a man with his shirt off, but ain't nobody, you know what I mean? When you're showing women and sexuality over and over and over and over, boys become addicted to that. So the genetic coding that the book was talking about, a girl's genetic coding or her genetic celebrity, so to speak. Her genetic celebrity is if she's born and she looks a certain way, she's going to be a celebrity. A man has to earn that celebrity, all right? He has to get it. He can be cute, but ain't nobody just going with no cute dude. He still got to get all of the other things.
It goes to the 3 Ps you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, he has to perform, he has to pursue, and he has to pay. That's what I was talking about when Shep was talking about that peacock, and I think he should have added peacocking on that one. But we have to perform, pursue, and pay. And a female, she has the option. We don't necessarily have the option. We have the consideration of an option, but we don't necessarily have the option. So I think when a female is looking at sex as an option and she understands what her body can do and the power that her body has, and the male understands that I don't have an option in sex. If a female chooses to get pregnant or don't get pregnant, I don't have an option in whether she keeps this child or not. I don't have any say so, all right? I can be a prisoner to her decision for the rest of my life. Not a prisoner to my own decision, whether she chose to have the child and I was against it, or she chose not to have the child and I was against it. I'm still a prisoner to her decision. And a lot of females just want a penis just to play around with it for a little bit. They don't really want to be a male. Who the fuck wants to be a male? That shit's hard as hell. Think about it.
Well, that question might have changed. It might have changed if it had been, for the rest of your life. What would you be looking forward to? But if it's just a year, yo.
Yeah, everybody wants a penis to play with.
Yeah, I'm not taking care of nobody in a year. I'm not providing for my husband if I only get to be a man for a year. But that's the thing,
though. Like, in a year, to Smith was saying, though, like, to have 9 out of 10 women say sleep as many women as possible, like, you could do that right now as a woman. Like, why would that be your answer?
Because you wouldn't be judged.
No,
that's it.
But women are not being judged now. They're liberated. They're sexually liberated today.
Yeah, but the whole thing is women can have, like, all right, for some reason, even the butt ugliest chick can get dick. Let's be for real.
Exactly.
But I don't care how good of a dude you are, you still gotta, fill in the 3 Ps before a woman to even look in your direction. All right? You could be a good looking dude. You could be a good looking dude, but you are broke, living at your mama's house, ain't got nothing going on. A good looking dude, that's about it. They're gonna leave you on the show.
You know what else
They're just gonna keep looking at you.
You also gotta think about
could a woman get a dude living at her mama's house with no job?
Yeah.
You're damn sure right she can.
Ask
Dr. Dre's wife.
Smith, you also got to look at, everybody around you, Smith, but you also got to look at the age range of the women who are questioned, because women might feel liberated today, but if you in your 40s, late 40s, 50s, you might still have that mentality of when, okay, we wasn't liberated. If you black, it might have been one
thing. You
thing.
can't even get that. Not the 40s. If you said 60s, 70s, yeah, you're not getting any woman that was past 1970 that knows what it is to be like unliberated or whatever case is. That was sitting at home cooking and cleaning.
No, but I just mean as far as like the whole from the sex standpoint, like when they were growing up, it was told like, yo, a woman is supposed to do X, Y, and Z when it comes down to sex, as far as it being taboo to be all out there in the open like that.
I don't know any women that are being told that's what they're supposed to do.
No, as far as like what society is saying. When you're growing up in your teens and your the 40-year-olds now, when they were in their teens and their early 20s, it was saying, okay, y'all could just run around willy-nilly 25 years ago, 20 years ago.
If you're a black woman, like
they were saying that.
You had Little Kim, Foxy Brown, like they
were saying that.
Yeah,
they were
saying that.
I don't know,
I'm over 40. They were saying that.
TLC, I'm not afraid to touch myself. I mean, come on now. What generation you grow up in? Salt and pepper, push it, push it real good. Like, this ain't nothing new, bro. Now, like I said, if you were talking about somebody in their 60s and 70s,
no romance without finance, bro. Ain't none of this.
There you go.
No, but that don't got. I'm just talking about from the whole sexual standpoint, where it's like it's okay, like women who were hoes weren't looked down upon. Like when did that start? Okay, cool. You go ahead and sleep
probably
with
in the 90s.
You want. I'm not gonna look. That's what I'm saying.
Lil Kim, he just told you, Lil Kim.
Yeah, Lil Kim.
Pepper.
You
could have been the whole TLC, man, other people's pussy.
And I creep.
I don't know. When I was in high school, and this was freaking 18, 19 years ago, I still ain't want to give it no hoe. I didn't want to turn no
nerd in high school, man.
I didn't want to turn no hoe. Okay, even in college, I still didn't look at no chick and be like, damn, well, she a hoe now, but I'ma still wife her up.
Well, wait, you took that for a turn. Nobody wants to get with the hoe. Who wants to get with the hoe? Nobody wants to.
That's what I'm saying.
No, listen.
Everybody wants to smash the hoe.
One thing about a hoe is this: every hoe don't tell her secrets, brother.
That's
what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying.
Smith,
that's my whole point. That's
no,
why
but
if they were a man,
so hold up. So what you're
to
saying is that if a woman had multiple sex partners prior to you, you wouldn't get with her? What does that say about you?
Yeah, what are you saying?
If I knew that she was a hoe, no, I wouldn't want to get with her.
Wow.
So what's a hoe to you? If she had 5 or more partners?
No. If she the one just jumping around 5 or more partners in a month, yeah, it's a hoe. Like I'm just jumping. Yeah. 5 partners in your life? No.
Hold up.
That's not a hoe.
Kels, you're telling me that in your lifetime you've only been with a woman when you wanted to be in a serious committed relationship.
What I'm saying is I would not want to be with a woman who slept with as many partners.
Slept as many people as you have.
Yeah. Like that's not my first preference.
Wow.
Okay. That's hypocrisy right there, bro.
No, when I'm saying,
but okay, I respect your manhood for that.
No, but when I'm saying I don't want to, I'm saying that's not my first choice. Like if it's 2 equal women, they both bring the same thing to the table, and one of them saying, "Oh well, yeah, I slept with 80 dudes," and the other one saying, "Oh well, I only slept with 2." Okay, it don't matter. You love them both the same way. No, my preference is the one who didn't sleep with as many.
When that's lying to you and says she only slept with 2.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know about that.
Even if she is lying, but that's my whole point. Like I feel like it hasn't been, like it's still looked down upon that way. Like if you've had however many partners,
but
like
you talking about today, or you talking about?
If a male goes to a
female, I think he's just talking about his own personal preference.
Yeah, if a male says go to the female, I slept with 80 chicks. The female ain't looking at him like he that's a good thing, bro.
Oh no, I know.
It's the same thing. Nobody wants somebody who's a hoe. Nobody.
But both
sexes.
But you know what, Smith?
Nobody wants a hoe.
You know what though? You also got to encompass the whole conversation. Okay, yeah, this dude slept with 80 chicks. I don't like it. Then this nigga is making X, Y, and Z money, and he can support me like X, Y, and Z. Yo, she's overlooking the 80. Me, I'm saying, okay, cool. I have to overlook your 80, and I gotta hold down the household and all. Like, yo, no, thank you.
Oh, so you look over the 80 as long as she'll take care of you. I got you.
Yeah, I'm about to say so.
Oh yeah, I'm okay with that.
No.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Over the
as long as she's Oprah, I got you.
Bringing in 80K, you look over the 80. She bringing in 80K, I look over the 80. I don't.
Nah,
care.
80 ain't enough to take care of me, bro. I got special taste.
No, remember,
that's a pretty bro right there. It's a pretty bro right there. He needs a 6-figure check. He needs a 6-figure check.
just because y'all down to wife hoes, man. Look, that's your preference, man.
But you're saying that you basically wouldn't wife up a hoe because of the world's perception of that woman, or just your personal ethical compass?
I'm playing statistics and odds that. Well, I mean, no, I can't even say that. It's just my preference. I wouldn't want to do it. Number one, you got 80 different dudes to choose from, so now you're gonna try to hold me to a higher standard.
So let's be realistic numbers. Let's get some realistic numbers.
So basically, it sounds like you got some insecurity issues in regards to how.
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
No, it ain't security.
So,
it's like,
it is.
It's not.
Hey,
I'm already working hard enough. I just
want to know what's the acceptable number. Is 5 an acceptable number?
The acceptable number is the one I don't know. So like if I know you would jump off, I'm good.
No, but what number is the too much? Double digits?
Nah,
Single
I'll probably
digits?
say no, Schubert, I'm gonna give you a number, man.
Yeah, what number, man?
I want to know.
Right? I'm gonna give you a number. I'm gonna say 25. So anything.
How old is she at the time you met her?
All right, fair enough. 25 is a fair number.
25. So you can
25.
average one a year, assuming that you was getting your fuck on since you was 1.
Kind of
numbers you looking at?
Because then
I like 25.
Because then stuff starts going in my mind. Like if I physically see it, like, yo, you fuck with this dude, and I know this nigga was like we had a homeboy in college. His name would remain nameless. Yo, if he slept with a chick, I'm not sleeping with her.
Well, that's because you knew of that dude's.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
If I see it in front
like
of
if
me,
you
then that
don't
makes
know
it
a chick,
worse.
I'm just saying. So if you didn't know any of the dudes homegirl hooked up with, 25 is still the number that you hung up on.
I mean, I still feel like she would lie. If it was, so if she was honest.
Yeah, if she was honest.
I mean, honestly,
okay,
man.
put it this way, Kel, because you just wait. And she's the photo album of these dudes that she dated. You looking like shit. I don't want to date you because now she's wearing it. Right. Most people ain't going to tell you how many people they slept with. Most
That's
people
what I
don't
said.
really know that shit. Most people don't really want to know that answer.
Yeah,
just
I don't even ask.
I personally don't even give a shit.
You know, I don't care either. Long as you ain't my hoe, you know what I mean.
I guess
don't be a hoe when you with me. That's all.
I guess it's just the whole idea of when you think about the whole like how big of a deal is being made now about the black people, how they being treated by police officers. It's because we can see it. Like if I can see you being a hoe, then I know I'm not rocking out with you. But if I haven't seen it, then I'm impartial.
Man, I think these boys are being conditioned to accept a hoe anyway, bro. So it is what it is. You're growing up with a different mindset.
I'm sorry, but the
different
reality is here's the reality. The reality is that if men could be hoes, then you gotta be like women could be hoes. That's number one. And then number two, the reality is 9 out of 10, whoever you get with, whoever you wife up, 9 out of 10, you ain't gonna be her first. You might not even be her third.
Well, Schubert, okay. What was their reasoning? What was their reasoning? The people who you questioned, what was their reasoning for saying that?
Well,
just give me like
women,
2.
They didn't give me a specific reason. They just said that was the first thing that came to their
mind.
mind.
I would have came with the follow up. Like, why is that See, man, you should have called me, man. I would have chimed in. But like, you got to come with the follow-up.
But it was kind of on the spot kind of a thing. It was just like I was trying to make it casual conversation just so I can get an honest answer, not like something well thought out. Because I wanted their first natural instinct.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that's what I got. And when I saw that kept repeatedly happen, I'm like,
that's
really?
When I would have
asked
what made y'all
up?
Now the flip side, is it that they just had penis on the brain?
I don't know. Maybe that's the only thing they see men as. It's like,
men as. Yeah, I just see men
because maybe they're saying, maybe the reality is they're saying to themselves, what's the difference between me and a man? He has a penis.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing he can do for me.
And technically, that's not necessarily a bad thing if that's all they see the difference as, because
you're right. It's not a bad thing. The problem is they don't necessarily think about the nuanced differences between, or there isn't a difference between the two, and that men face as much issues as they do.
Yeah.
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 Now the whole thing is, I did feel some sort of way about them saying they would sleep with as many women as they could, because I'm like, that's the one biggest thing that women demonize men for.
Well,
But
Yeah,
that's
that's a
the first
misconception.
thing
you know
that you
what?
would do with it.
Yeah.
Do y'all have an issue with the fact that we have to, pursue the women the way that we do?
Yes.
So
Yes,
then
I do.
you should have an issue with the guys saying that they would get all the free stuff.
What?
So
the
your
guy's
second
answer
question,
was-
you said,
All right,
do men
guys were
see
saying-
women as privileged in
Yeah,
regards of
well, no, what I'm
getting
saying
free
is-
stuff?
The guy said that they would basically. I thought you said their answer was
Yeah.
for the
And that was the
men,
question to the answer.
Men
Like,
would
do
say
men
they would
see
get
women
all the
as
free
privileged?
stuff.
the free
Yeah.
stuff.
So meaning the fact of, you know how it is when you go to the club, ladies
Exactly.
get in free,
when they go out on dates, the men are the ones who's paying.
Yeah.
The guys who's buying the
Yeah.
drinks. So then you should have an issue with their answer. If they're saying, I
Yeah,
would
even-
want
hey,
the guy
hey,
to pay for
hey.
my stuff, to get in the club for free, to not pay for the dates, then we should have an issue with that answer too. Because we don't want the
Well,
women. We
I
don't
said
want that
the
from our
issue-
women.
Yeah, but some people might be looking at it as this. I'm gonna flip it, right? Some people might be looking at it as this, all right? They were talking about, and the free things also is the money assistance from government, right?
Yeah,
You gotta talk
that
about
was the
all
other
this.
thing.
So if Amel is looking
That's
at
why I
it
was
from
like,
that
Lawson, what are you talking
perspective,
about?
yeah, if Amel is looking at it from that perspective, then why the hell wouldn't I want somebody to, I sit on my ass and the government takes care of me? Because one of the things that I actually like, what he mentioned it again in the book Bradley about blacks, was that he said, why don't they have a program where black fathers and sons have businesses as opposed to having a program that keeps the black male away from the family? And the only way that you can get certain money is by keeping this male absent from the family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, Henry, they might want to get certain perks because there's more than just free booze and drugs. You know what I mean? There's more than just clubbing for free.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other advantages that they just have.
And don't forget, if when shit goes wrong, who's the first one to get out the situation? Women and children first.
Yeah, women and children first.
You mean there's
It's like who should be protected in a scenario where there's a problem? A woman should be protected. What man doesn't want those benefits?
Yeah.
You mean there's more to life than just free crab legs, man?
Well,
Yes.
It ain't just
Yes,
about the
but
Oh,
essentially
crab leg,
essentially the whole thing
My
is the
man-
men
More than
wanted
free
the
crab legs
benefits.
and the shrimp buffet.
The whole thing is the men wanted all the benefits and privileges women get.
Yeah.
You know,
You know what I think?
it's like the last scene of the
if a pretty
Titanic.
girl gets, we all know if a pretty girl gets pulled over by a cop, and I've seen it many a times, she has a chance of getting out that ticket.
Yeah, she
Versus
has a
if a
warning.
dude get pulled over by cops, even if it's a female cop, he can't show a little cleavage
Nah.
to get out that ticket.
Oh, I
He
just
can't
so
flex
quick.
his pecs.
I
He
just so
ain't pulling no,
quick.
he ain't pulling no
Got
Lil
myself
Wayne
out.
on this officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I will say, just thinking about from that perspective, thinking about the answers, and then further, I'm about to go on a little bit.
All right,
But,
let's just answer
go
this
ahead.
last question.
It's one last question.
Yeah. All right, chapter 7. Dr. Farrell mentions that the men bond by giving each other criticism and women bond by giving each other support. If this is true, how can this dynamic be shifted so that each gender is receiving a healthy balance of both support and constructive criticism?
Well, I just think they just need to get it
Well,
from each other.
Get it
Because
from each other.
yeah,
Well,
I'll make it brief. Then you go ahead, Smith. I just think they should get it from each other because, and if I read it correctly, it wasn't necessarily the women criticizing. Well, it was the women criticizing the men, but it was the men criticizing each other as well. But then when it came down to the support, it was the women supporting each other, but not necessarily vice versa. So both of them have to go both ways.
Yeah, well, I think a little different because he was talking about that was the hidden tax of us getting put downs and doing mother jokes and the faults. He was saying that part of this, and they did a study in a New England Journal of Medicine, that these put downs are actually, or finding faults in each other, are actually causing heart disease. They're causing heart palpitations. And what's happening is we don't see that necessarily, that we're actually raising our youth, because it's called the Joneses or whatever the hell you call it now, hiking, whatever. But raising our youth to actually put themselves in a position to where they're practicing a form of heart disease. You know what I mean? To just say we're causing faults. I think the book spoke to something else as far as saying that that we do it. Men tend to do it because you have to weed people out. You have to weed out the weak. You have to see who's strong. You have to see who. If we get in the trenches together, probably I got to see if you're strong enough to do this, or if you're going to be weak like a little bitch and you're going to fold. You know what I mean? So that's what it was talking about. And I do know that you do have to toughen men up in a sense, or that's what we believe, that you have to toughen the man up in a sense, and say that you got to be strong, you got to be this, you can't cry, you can't show these emotions, you can't do this, you can't do that. You got to be man, you got to be, still, iron, sharp, tough, rigid. And I think that we got to look at that the heart disease part of it. Why can't men support each other? Because it's a dog eat dog world. We're in a competitive mode, constantly in competition to get more, so we could protect this woman that we're trying to get or trying to pursue.
So by and large, do you think men are incapable of having that balance because men are such competitive species?
I think men could start progressing in that manner. I think as we read more, as we learn more about males, and males starts opening up and talking about problems more, I think we can start turning that corner. But I think unless we are actually having a conversation about it, and starting to put some things in place that, you might do daily affirmations. Women are told to do affirmations to affirm themselves.
Yeah.
Are men told the same thing? You know what I mean? And then again, if I'm being raised by my mother, do I do this daily affirmation from a woman's perspective? I am pretty. I am gorgeous. I am loved. Am I doing that for me, or is that different?
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I just think that we got to look at that part of them put downs, because we like that shit.
Yeah.
So Henry, I apologize for calling you fat in the stomach, man.
Keg in the stomach.
know
I don't
what?
want you to. I don't want you to get the hidden tax of heart disease later, because I know
It's
you be
too
going
late.
to that fitness
It's too late.
365 gym. Shameless plug again.
It's too late, bro. I haven't eaten anything since you said that comment. I have not eaten anything.
I'm learning. The books that we are reading are teaching me how to come back, around and admit my fault. So I do apologize, fat boy.
I don't know. I honestly, I think there is a use. I think there is a necessity for the hazing, because the reality is that life is hard. And if you don't have thick skin and you're gonna fold under any little bit of pressure or stress, then survival of the fittest. It's like that's just what it has always been since the dawn of time. The slowest runner, the slowest antelope was gonna get eaten by the mountain cat and stuff.
It's
Because
you gotta have that healthy balance.
But the whole thing is that as far as finding the healthy balance, I think sometimes, so for instance, I'm not going to put out too much information, but when pledging to a fraternity, you're going to go through hellfire, okay, to see if you are strong enough, if you can deal with the stress and the and the pressure of going through some hardships, some struggles, some trial and tribulations. But once you come through hold on.
Go ahead.
But once you get through the fire, there is a celebration where you're embraced with love and supported and shown like, hey, you are amongst us. You are one of us. You're our brother. We will always cherish you. We will always support you. We will always have your back. So yes, there is a both have their purpose and have their use, and it's a matter of how they're applied. So for instance, with my son, when my son does something stupid, I punish him. But after he goes through that punishment, I sit down and I talk to him and say, I didn't want to punish you, right? You had to be held accountable for your bad decisions, right? This is why this has happened, this, that, and the other. So that is that nurturing part where he has an understanding of why he went through that punishment. And so that way he will build that thick skin going through that punishment and saying, okay, I endured that, but he is still getting that love and support from his father, knowing that I'm not just, putting him through hell just to be putting him through hell.
But when you but in the example that they gave in the book, when they doing the Joneses, the only thing that they're getting is the hazing part. They're not getting that last part that you're saying, Shu.
But the whole thing is they are getting that part, because the whole thing is that generally when they're getting the Joneses, the hiking, whatever you want to call it, it's coming from a loving place. So, usually when you're part of a group or whatever the case is, right? Like, let's say a part of this group, and let's say when we were talking about if we started making fun of Prad for being short or something like that, right? And
full description out
around, Prad's gonna be like, yo, that sucks, man. But at the same token, he knows that the brothers that's on this, would never do anything to harm him. So I think it all depends on what kind of place it's coming from.
Yeah,
if it was some random strangers coming at you, then there's no
something different. Yeah,
there's no benefit to that. It's strictly malice.
So the one thing I'm hearing from the answers from the fellas is, all right, so what do women's healthy balance look like? Because I was struggling to find that. Like, as we all know, women are not necessarily one to, lay criticism upon each other.
Outside,
it comes out, it comes from a place of, we're quick to be labeled sexist if we were to try to, criticize women for their mishaps or their shortcomings.
Well,
like,
that's
so what?
it.
So
they gotta take it. And I mean, there is, like, you can't
that's
go
where I
run
find hypocrisy in women, though.
Because you can't just run. You can't go running.
Women criticize the shit out of each other, man.
But behind each other's back.
Yeah,
behind each other's back.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
They just do it behind their back.
But does that? So do you
go
think? Well, nah, that can't even answer the damn question, because if you do it behind the back, you're not even giving the woman an opportunity to change.
Exactly.
So here's my thing, right? Like with men, like, like when I was, like, yesterday when we was leaving the gym, and Kel was like, I gotta go, man. My wife is waiting for me, and Prad is like, my wife is waiting for me too. I'm like, all right, I see where the male power is in that household. Obviously, I'm doing that Jonesing, right? But at the same token, it's coming from a place of love, and I'm just joking around, and you know what it is, and I'm not saying it behind your back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not a place of malice. But with females, tee, oh girl, go ahead. Your man is waiting for you. You go support your girl, man. As soon as she leave, she let him do everything. Tell her what to do, and this, that, and the other. Yeah, girl, can you believe that? Ain't no man got me wrapped around his finger like that. You know what I mean? So it's just like, which one would you rather?
Or even in some relationship dynamics, and this is my own anecdotal experience, from what I've gathered, women are quick to tell another chick to leave a relationship. Whereas, whereas like, I've known other dudes when I've had relationship issues would say, like, you could work it out. Try doing this. Try doing that. They would say,
maybe see this, maybe see that.
Yeah. But like, from what I've seen when women are each other, they're so quick to say, yo, just dump the dude. Like,
just leave him.
Just leave him.
Fuck him, leave.
Yeah.
You be
because
like,
men are disposable.
We're disposable.
On to the next one. Hold up.
Hold up. Part of that,
part
of that too.
And the funny thing is, there's a Beyonce song for everything, right? There's a Beyonce song for everything, right? So it's like, what's the other song that Beyonce puts out?
To the left.
To the left, something like the I'll be on to the next one. He's waiting outside or something like that.
Yeah, I can have another one in a minute.
Yeah.
You know what though? I think a lot of that too. Just leave them. A lot of that's jealousy. Damn, girl, you got a man X, Y, and Z. If I could put you in a position where you could be like me,
and then we can go out and be hoes together.
But it's just like, but where's the constructive criticism? Our women are capable of having that healthy balance.
Well, I think that they do that to themselves, because now when you get it from somebody else, a male or even a boss or whatever, you're not used to it. So it's just like now you screaming sexism.
And that's exactly what it is the fact of, like, men can endure criticism because we do it all the time. you can't make the slightest criticism of a woman. And even to the point where even as men, we argue amongst each other when we criticize women.
All right, fellas. Well, this concludes this week's chapter 5 through 8. We're gonna read the next 4 ones, and yeah, we'll make is the next 4 one the conclusion? I don't think so. There might be.
Nah, we halfway through.
Isn't it almost done?
We halfway through.
We're halfway through. All right.
Remember, we split this up into 4 weeks.
All right, fellas.